this will be an interesting one. Okay, this is off a very well-known Sydney newspaper. I found it on a coffee table, folded up, so I figured, of course, this would make a good demo. So it's a fairly large original, of course, being a very big newspaper, so we'll see if we can make it look good. What's really strange is that this is only part of a newspaper, the front and the back, if I'm correct, or at least part of it, I don't know. And basically all 4 pages on this piece of newspaper are consumed by advertising, believe it or not. Even the front page has got an ad on the front. Very odd. Goes to show that advertising is just getting a bit too extreme. It's just like everything's advertising space these days. You just can't get away from it. Companies and people just want to advertise. And it can get quite annoying seeing it all over the place all the time, and seeing it on bus windows, and it's everywhere. It's ghastly. Yuck. Capitalism. Fucking gross. Anyway, let's see what else we're going to do here. What are we going to do before we get going? What have we done? We're just trying to think. Oh, fuck off, Konica. Stupid user interface. Honestly, I have no fucking respect for that. I think that's it. Okay, let's see how we go. What is it? It is, of course, the advertiser is none other than Marks and Spencer. I think that's an English clothing company. I think this is what we're going to do. This is the front. We all know what that is. Sydney Morning Herald. And there's another Marks and Spencer. Then we open it up again, and it doesn't say what it is. It doesn't say if that's a Marks and Spencer. It is Marks and Spencer down here too, and I assume that's Marks and Spencer. So now we're just going to do the back of it. We're just going to make something interesting out of Marks and Spencer. I think it's quite expensive, or at least it's a very English, very posh, or well-known English brand of clothing. So we're just going to photocopy the back of it and give it a spin. We're just going to distort the living shit out of Marks and Spencer. So yeah, you get the feeling it's really posh. I really hate these posh clothing labels. They just don't have much substance. It's just not my cup of tea, all this posh shit. Even if I become rich, there's a lot of things I won't change when I get rich. And some of the things are to do with taste, what I like. And sometimes you don't always, when a person becomes rich from being poor or being low class or whatever happens, often they don't want to really change their life. They don't suddenly want to buy a Lamborghini or a Porsche. Some reason they just want to stay the same. There was one person who I admire who started life as deadly poor, and that was the man who invented the modern photocopier, Chester F. Carlson. He basically was poor as shit, and when he became rich from the invention known as xerography, this dry toner process that we know today in a similar but different form. These machines have become so much more full of features than the old machines that he had, like the Xerox 914 was the first of the machines to be fully automated, as in you just had to press a couple of buttons and out comes the copy. And whereas the previous equipment that they had, this really primitive stuff, you had to do things by hand. So basically, when he became rich, he basically had the desire, a dying wish, you could say. Or I don't know, he wasn't dying when he wished for this, actually. It wasn't actually a dying wish, but he actually wanted to die a poor man. He didn't want to be rich. He gave it all away. And I just wish that the companies of today could be like him. They don't have to wish that they can die poor. You don't have to be poor to do the right thing by the people and the planet. Giving money away. Giving money away, how should I put it? You don't have to make yourself poor. You don't even have to have less money. You can have a lot of money. You can still live a rich life without being greedy. You can. You don't have to be greedy. To be greedy is a shameful thing, in my opinion. I'd like to build photocopiers that are different to today's standards, and one of the things I want to do is I want to give most of my money away, but I don't want to be poor. I don't want to die a poor woman, but I'm still going to enjoy some luxury, but there's a lot of things that won't change in my life, and I'm not interested in chauffeur-driven limousines. I'm not interested in that sort of shit, even if I could afford it, even if I have the capacity to afford all that excessive luxury. I just don't want it. I still want to live a similar life to the way I am. The only thing is I probably can't go out in public, so I'd have to make certain sacrifices for my own personal safety. If I become rich from a new style of photocopier system, well, but the thing is, I don't want to, you know what I mean, even if you give only 10% of your riches, that's good enough. You don't have to give 90% of your riches. If you're a rich person, I'm going to let you know. I don't know if you really want to listen to me because I'm not a classy person myself. But basically, now that looks interesting. But basically, giving away 10% is enough. Giving 10% away, you're only expected to give away 10%. You don't have to, as I said, spend more than that. I just didn't put this on dark enough. But basically, you don't have to be spending your last dollar. You just have to give 10% of what you earn, and that is acceptable. Morally, giving 10% of what you earn is an acceptable amount. It is not stingy, it is enough. So just let you know that. You don't have to be greedy. You can still be rich, you can still enjoy a lot of luxuries, but don't be greedy. Just give not most of it. That's what I want to do when I become rich, is to give most of my money away. That's my prerogative. That's how I see myself contributing to society, is to it looks interesting. I'm just trying to think what more I can do with this. But basically, I just don't want to be greedy. I want to be good to mankind. I want to basically clean up the planet and basically make the world a more fairer and equitable place. I know you rich people probably couldn't give one a bloody fuck about it, but basically I do, and I don't want to be like you guys and being a rich fucking porker who doesn't care about others. I don't want to be like that. That's not what I want in my life. I want to be a giving person, and I still want to enjoy myself. It's okay to have fun. There's no such, no one should be forced to have a horrible life for whatever reason. No one should have to live in fear of not being able to pay their bills, not being able to clothe themselves, or put petrol in their car, or anything, or being able to ride on public transport. In fact, public transport should actually be made free. I actually read an article about that on Facebook, about experiments in overseas countries where public transport is made free. And of course the transport people don't agree with it, but people who are outside that sphere who want to make a difference, now that looks really good. Basically, it is something that is practically possible, is to have fair free public transport. That would be really good. But basically, that we're not at that stage in this country, so we're not going to get free fares. But basically, it'd be good if rich people could donate more to charities, so that people who want to travel and then don't have much money can just pay for the transport, because that's how it is. That transport does cost. It's just the way that Australia is. So But basically, yeah, everyone, the rich people, I do think, should give more to charity. And if they did give to charity, all these people who earn a certain amount, well, just about anyone, if everyone gave their 10% and put it in the coffers, well, we'd have a happier, fairer society, and people can travel, people can eat, people can do all sorts of shit that they need to function in a community, to see friends and family and get together and have a meal, get together and have a rally bash, bring your rallies around and talk about old times and talk about what you want to do in the future. Yeah, so no one should be allowed to go hungry or unable to afford public transport. So yeah, that's basically it. Everyone has a right to have fun. Everyone has a right to relax. And if I can make a difference one day, a big difference, for me, giving 10% is not enough. My estimates are that I'd probably want to give, as a CEO and a scientist, I'd probably want to give probably at least 95% of my earnings if I could be rich. If I could become rich, I'd give so much away, because I just don't feel comfortable. I still want to enjoy some luxuries, but I'm not interested in limousines or sports cars or big mansions. And I'm going to get married too. I'm going to be married, so I'm going to provide for him as well. So he's got a lot of other work to do that he can't do that. So I'm going to be running things when I get married to him, long time into the future. But anyway, this looks really nice. I think now we can call this Mark and Spencer thing quits.